we go. Here's a review for, here's some notes for the review. So the first question on your review, it has something like this. It has a dot or a circle on a number and an arrow pointing on it, and it says write the equation. First thing you do is you pick your variable. X is usually the most common one. And then you pick your number. Where's the dot at? It's on -3. And then you have to say, okay, is it open or closed? It's a closed dot, so it's going to be or equal to. And then do I have everything less than 3, -3, or bigger than 3? I have everything less than. So X is less than, and because it's filled in, or equal to -3. So the next question, find the mean, median, mode. The mean is you add all the numbers together. 2 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 7, and divide that by how many numbers there are, which in this case there are 10 of them. So you add them together, divide by how many there are, and your mean is 4.5. And then it also asks you for the median. The median is the one in the middle. So you count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then I have an even number. So to find the median, I don't have a number in the middle. What you do is you take the average of the two that are next to each other in the middle. 4 plus 5 divided by 2, and we get the same thing that our mean is. It's not always that, just happens to be that in this case. And then it asks for the mode, which is the most common. It's the number that appears the most. In this case, that's 6, because I have 3 6s and I do not have 3 of any other number. Right? A map has a scale of 2 inches to 1 mile. A street is 2.3 miles long. How long is it on the map? So I have a scale of 1 inch, or I'm comparing inches to miles. I have 2 inches for every 1 mile. In real life, it's 2.3 miles long. How many inches is it on the map? So I have inches to miles. 2 over 1 equals x over 2.3. How do you solve this? You cross multiply. 1 times x is x. 2 times 2.3 is 4.6. So it is 4.6 inches on the map. Okay. So for the next question on your review, it asks you a multiple choice, questions on the x-axis and y-axis. Any point on the x-axis, the y is the same, the y is always 0, the x changes. Any point on the y-axis, the x is always 0, the y changes as you go up or down. That should be able to help you out. Okay. You have 3 red marbles, 4 yellow marbles, and 6 green marbles. What is the probability of selecting a yellow marble? So the probability, and we use P for probability, of a yellow marble, that's what it would look like, is equal to how many yellow marbles do we have? We have 4 yellow marbles. How many marbles do we have altogether? We have 3 plus 4 plus 6. So we have 4 out of 13. And if you can reduce that, reduce it. If you can't, you can't. Okay, the next question says find the sum. When you have 2 matrices, and this is a matrix and this is a matrix, when you have 2 matrices that you're adding or subtracting, you just add or subtract each part. So my new matrix, because I'm going to get a matrix for an answer, the first point here is because I have plus here, I add these 2 numbers. 2 plus -4 gives me -2. I add these 2 numbers. 3 plus -2 gives me 1. I add these 2 numbers. -1 plus 1 is 0. I add these 2 numbers. 5 plus 4 is 9. So that's my answer. If I have a subtraction in between, I subtract the ones. Not a big deal. Okay, next one. Solve this absolute value inequality. Remember, when you have an absolute value, you split it into 2 problems. 2x minus 5 is greater than 3. The first problem just removes the absolute value bars. Nothing else changes. The other one is the inside does not change. The inside never changes. I changed the 3 to -3, and because I changed the sign, I flipped my inequality. Notice, I flipped my inequality. Now you just solve each one of these. I add 5. 2x equals, sorry, 2x is greater than 8. Divide by 2. X is greater than 4. There's one answer. Add 5. 2x is less than 2. Divide by 2. X is less than 1. Okay. The next one is a little bit difficult. It's not something you've seen before. The sum of 3 consecutive integers is 39. Add them together. Remember, integers are not fractions. They're not decimals. They're whole numbers. There's a couple of ways to do this. You can guess and check, or you could use algebra. Let x be my first integer. Then to find the next number, what do I do to that? I add 1. So if my first one is 3, how do I find the next? It's 4. 3, 4. I add 1 to 3. And then to find the next one, I add 2 to the original number. So let's say this would be 3, 4, 5, or 7, 8, 9. It doesn't matter. And if I'm going to, the sum means I add these together. So I add these together, and I get 39. So how many x's do I have? I have 1, 2, 3x. 1, 2, 3 x's. So I have 3x plus, and then 1 plus 2 is 3 is equal to 39, and I solved that. Subtract 3. 3x is equal to 36. Divide by 3. And I get x is equal to 12. So 12 is my first number. X is 12. 12 is my first number. And then I have 13 and I have 14. 12, 13, 14. That's how you do that. Okay, so the next one isn't too bad. I have a proportion. I need to solve for y. Once again, we did a sample of proportion. How do I solve this? I cross multiply. 3 times y, 3y. 5 times 12, 60. 3y equals 60. Divide by 3. Y equals 20. Okay. Then if I want to evaluate, the next problem here, evaluate, that means I take 2, plug it in for x, and 1, and plug it in for y, and I figure out what I have. So I have 2, y is 1, so I put in 1, 1 squared minus 1. X is 2, so I take this x, replace it with 2. 2 minus 5. And there's my phone. Yes, that was my phone. Yes, we just got rickrolled. Those of you who've been in my class, you know my phone. So I figure out what this is. I take 1 and I square it. What do I get? I get 1. So this is 2 times 1, so I have 2 minus 1 over 2 minus 5. You cannot cancel the 2's. 2 minus 1 is 1. 2 minus 5 is -3. And that's my answer. Okay. Next one says simplify. Follow the order of operations. Order of operations. First thing you do parentheses. Do I have any parentheses? No. Then you do anything, any exponents. We do not have any exponents. Then you do multiplication and division. I have multiplication here. I have division here. I do them at the same time, working left to right. 3 times 4 is 12. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So this is now that. So now what do I have? I have 2 plus 12 plus 3, and I add them together. 2 plus 12 is 14, plus 3 is 17. Okay. So the number of people in a group has increased from 10 to 16. What is the percent increase? To find the percent change, percent increase or decrease, it doesn't matter. You take the big number minus the small number divided by the original number. So in this case, we would take the big number, which is 16, minus the small number, which is 10, divided by the original number, which is 10. We started with 10 and went to 16. So you take the number you started with, and that's what goes on the bottom. So 16 minus 10 is 6. over 10, that's 0.6, which is 60%. We have a 60% increase. Okay, now the next one, we are solving a percentage. 42 is 30% of what number? Remember, this is of equals percent over 100. I have the is, I have the percent, the of is the thing I don't know. So I plug in what I have. Ooh, 42 is the is, so I have 42. The of is what I don't know, so there's my x, equals my percent, 30 over 100. That's how I set it up, and then I solve. And how do you solve? Once again, you cross multiply. X times 30 is 30x. 42 times 100 is 4200. Just put 2 zeros on the end. Divide both sides by 30. X equals 140. Solve. 2 times x minus 3 equals x plus 4. My first step, distribute. 2x minus 6 equals x plus 4. Next step, put all my x's on one side. So what do? I subtract x from both sides. 2x minus x means I have 1x. That doesn't change. I have minus 6 equals, that goes away. And then I have 4 left on the other side. That doesn't change either. Now to get x by itself, I add 6 to both sides. X equals 10. All right. Now to evaluate, find f of -2 when f of x equals that. Here's what you're doing. You're taking x, replacing it with -2. So you take x and replace it with -2. So f of -2 is -2 squared plus 2 times -2. That's what you're doing. You're not solving for f. All you're doing is evaluating. F of -2 equals, I take -2 and square it. That gives me positive 4. And then 2 times -2 is -4. So f of -2 is equal to 0. You're done. You do not divide both sides by -2. This is your answer. Now the next one says, what is the range when your domain is this? And I'm sorry, it's missing the word here. This is the domain. Should be there. What is the domain when your domain is that? In other words, when x is, this is -1, x is 0, x is 2, x is 3, what is y? I'm going to come up with a set of answers. So you take each one of those numbers one at a time and plug them in here. So I have 3 times -1 squared plus 1, which is 3 times 1 plus 1, which is 4. And then I do it with 0. 3 times 0 squared plus 1 is 0 plus 1, which is 1. And then I plug in 2. 3 times 2 squared plus 1 is 3 times 4 plus 1, which is 12 plus 1. That gives me 13. And then 3 times 3 squared plus 1 is 3 times 9 plus 1. That's 3 times 9 is 27 plus 1 is 28. So my domain is that. My range, I have the set of the numbers 4, 1, 13, and 28. And thus ends the notes. No, I did not do an example for every single problem, but I did examples that will cover all of the problems.